I mean, you had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. Yes, episode 64, people. I can't believe it. I mean, 64 episodes of MinneZona. I mean, it's just...
Straight cash, homie.
Straight cash, homie, as Randy Moss is saying right here. But anyway, without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way from Woods and Shores Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, Paul Volt, the Shield. What's going on, Shield?
You know, the fact that it is Wednesday, it feels like it's been about 3 weeks, but it's only Wednesday. We're here. We're ready to do the damn thing. Let's have some fun tonight.
We're going to have some fun tonight because first of all, the Wild are getting into the playoffs here soon, very soon.
Yeah, they are.
And we want Anthony Edwards to win Rookie of the Year, especially Krill the Thrill, Dollar Bill Krill. And then we got table topics tonight, and then ARA, Shield Shoutouts. I mean, it's a fun-filled show, as always. We bring it to you, the zoners. But make sure, table topics, I got some really good table topics tonight, folks. They're going to be great. So I already told Voldy what we're doing, so it's going to be fire, as the kids like to say. So anyway, Voldy, I think I'll play the video for Tater Tot Hot Take, but I want to get into something before we get into a little bit of, Ant and some of those guys. So let's get it rolling with some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, it's fresh out of the oven, but before we get to anything, if the zoners have looked at our social medias as of late, I posted a video with my thoughts on RG3's comments about Kirk Cousins. And obviously, there's a lot of zoners that agree with me. But there was a zoner that didn't agree with me. And his name is Austin Hanley. Don't get me wrong, I love me some Austin Hanley. Very nice guy. We did a video on him. But Voldy, he said that Kirk Cousins is the fourth best quarterback in the NFC North. I mean, the absurdity to that is just beyond me. I couldn't believe it. Zim is cursing right now. I was even cursing when I saw that. So let me ask you this. Is Kirk Cousins not better than Jared Goff? I mean, well, Justin Fields, the guy hasn't played a down yet. The guy hasn't played down. And shoot, Aaron Rodgers might be gone by the end of the month. So what is going on?
That goes to Jordan Love then.
Yeah. And then he said Jordan Love might even throw Jordan Love. Voldy, the absurdity. It's got to be up for absurd statement of 2021, doesn't it?
Oh,
if it's not
easily.
True. Yeah.
It is completely up for. If it's not going to be the most absurd statement of the year, I don't know what is going to be. It's got to be something completely out of left field. The fact that you're going to go that route and say Kirk Cousins is the fourth best quarterback in the NFC North. Yeah, definitely smoking something that you probably shouldn't be.
The absurdity, Voldy. It just, the thing is, I told him, I said, if it is true at the end of the season, if the stats say that Goff was better than Kirk or Fields was better than Kirk, then I'll be done. I'll just call it good. But it's all love to Austin. I love Austin. He's a good guy. But for goodness sake, don't you ever bring that up again. Kirk Cousins, look at the stats. 35 touchdowns last year. I think that's pretty good. Just throwing that out there. All right, so let's get going with some Tater Tot hot take. Just wanted to throw that in there for the zoners who haven't tuned in with that. But there's a lot to be said, but we'll keep it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Voldy, things haven't been good for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I know this is basketball we're talking tonight, but there's been a bright spot. There's been some bright spots, I should say, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that one bright spot is Anthony Edwards. He has been fantastic, and he deserves Rookie of the Year by far. Ant has been a catalyst on this team, and he deserves Rookie of the Year honors this season. And it would be a travesty if it didn't happen like that. But I'm not the only one that believes that, and I believe you believe that too, Voldy. But Karl Anthony Towns believes that he should as well. I'm not gonna go through the whole quote that he said, but Towns says there ain't no rookie in this league getting double teamed. There ain't no other rookie putting up the numbers Ant is. There ain't no other rookie causing the havoc and mayhem before the game even starts with the scouting reports like Anthony is, Towns said. But I don't want to hear nothing about no other people who are rookies. I don't want to hear that. I don't go by hype. I go by stats. So, Cat's obviously, throwing his endorsement out for Ant to win Rookie of the Year. Voldy,
Right.
Do you agree with Cat's comments?
Absolutely.
Stamp of
I mean,
approval.
you can just throw the records completely out right now. I mean, obviously getting wins is nice, but you look at the individual player. What's the player looking at? Now, if this was the case for most valuable player, there would be a strong consideration for how the team actually is contributing to this player's performance. But looking at it, I strictly look at it from the player's perspective and what that player is doing on the court. You know what? If I had to flip a coin, and I would certainly hope that it would land in favor of Anthony Edwards, but this is a clear-cut decision to be made on Rookie of the Year. But in my favor, I'm going with Anthony Edwards. I think it's got my stamp of approval.
Now, there's a lot of people, and, I looked into this as well, and, we're asking the zoners if you think, Ant deserves Rookie of the Year. Ant, he's only 19 years old. Let's remember that right now. But guess, what's even crazier, Voldy, is he's averaging 19 points per game. I mean, how odd is that? He's 19, averaging 19 points per game. I mean, that's pretty damn good. And not too long ago, Ant had like 42, 43 points or something like that.
Yep.
I mean, he's a beast, man. Offensively, he is very, very good. Shooting just 48% on two-pointers, 33% on three-pointers. You'd like to see that, go up a little bit. His effective field goal percentage, 48%, ranks 118th among 126 qualified players. Only averaging 2.8 assists per game, 2.3 turnovers per game, things like that. But the one thing that does concern me, and I don't think it's going to hamper him from being Rookie of the Year because, it's one thing that you have to address, especially for this team, because this team doesn't do this very well, is defense. For Ant, unfortunately, his defensive estimated plus minus is minus 1.2, ranks in the 23rd percentile. Not what you want to have. There's holes in his game, but let's remember, and I don't want to say that this is something that you can't look at and say, well, he doesn't deserve Rookie of the Year. Well, I think he does. The thing is that Ant has to develop. He's the number one pick. He's shown what he can do, but let's remember, he's still very young, and Ant has been something. This is what the Wolves needed. They have D'Lo healthy, they have Cat healthy, then they have Edwards. Yep. They have their big three, okay? Not like a huge, not like they're going to win the playoff game. Obviously, they're not going to the playoffs or anything like that. But there has been progression, which is something that's kind of nice. And you wish you saw that with Wiggins, Towns, and Butler. But obviously, I'm not going to get into that. So there's that perspective too. Now, obviously, if LaMelo Ball played the whole season, it might be leaning more towards LaMelo because he's more of a playmaker. Yes, he can score. Yes, yes, he can probably play a little bit more better defense than Ant as of right now. But we're seeing a lot of good things coming from Ant. Now, we can't discount the fact that Ant deserves Rookie of the Year. I mean, LaMelo gets hurt, whatever. But Ant, definitely Rookie of the Year. And not only do I think Ant will win it, I think he'll build off this. And not only that, I think he's probably because Wiggins won Rookie of the Year as well. But, that's a different thing. But as we're watching his progression, Voldy, I like the way that how he's handled himself with, with his teammates. He's very energetic and he's very funny. He's a funny guy. I mean, he's a funny dude. And I think that's intoxicating to the players. They love that energy and things like that. And they needed somebody like that instead of General Soreness being all uptight and, wanting him to do things and all that stuff. But Voldy, as you look at his career and everything like that, or so far with this first season, do you think that the defensive mechanics and things like that will happen, over in the offseason? Do you think there'll be a lot of improvement come next season with his defense?
Yeah, I think so. Just because of the fact, like, this past offseason, you didn't even know when the season was going to begin. Yep. And just got rushed right into it. There wasn't a whole lot of workouts, a whole lot of, combine. There wasn't, the summer league or whatever to get settled into things. It was basically, all right, you get drafted. Here's main camp and here's opening night, basically. And that's how it ended up being. But obviously the fact that he's doing at least one half of the job, which is the offensive side, is a very promising sign. Obviously, you can put up as many points you want to in the NBA, especially when the Timberwolves are losing games 135 to 115 or something like that. Points are going to come left and right, but as of late, they've been playing really good, so that's been good to see. And Edwards, as he's gotten more settled into things and finding more good open looks and shot selection, things have come along as well. But for the defensive side, that's just going to take some seasoning. I mean, he's only 19 years old. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised a couple years down the road if he isn't one of the better defensive players, not only on the Timberwolves, but maybe looking towards the rest of the league as well.
Yeah, exactly. And Mets brought up what I brought up not too long ago. One thing for Ant, he's played the whole season, while LaMelo has missed a good chunk of the season, which is very true. But obviously, with being compared, obviously the Hornets are playing in the play-in they're in the play-in tournament to get into like the official playoffs, which I just think is odd in itself. But overall, Ant has had to carry a little bit of the load while D'Lo was out, while Cat's been out. I mean, so again, a 19-year-old kid has gone in there, and they've put him in more because, again, he wants to play in the fourth quarter. He wants to be that guy, and he has been, and it's helped them tremendously. So there's a lot of good things to see with Ant. And, I mean, I don't know what it is, Voldy, but all these rookies in Minnesota right now, Edwards, Jefferson, Bill Kirilloff, obviously he's hurt right now, but at the same time, that's the future's looking bright. I think we can both agree on that. So, Ant's going to win Rookie of the Year. You heard it here first on MinneZona Sports Live. I think there's no doubt about that. Bill Kirilloff will win the Calder as well. Which brings me to my next topic here, because we're going to be talking about the Wild. And, Voldy, the Wild will be playing in the playoffs here, and we got to give some claps. We got to give some claps because, Voldy, at the beginning of the season, you and I thought, well, middle of the pack, but they've exceeded expectations, and we're enjoying every second of this. But it seems to me, Voldy, like the Minnesota Wild are probably going to be ending up playing the Colorado Avalanche, and they're no strangers to the Avalanche in the playoffs. And there's been classics in the playoffs with them. Obviously, you can't rule out the fact that Colorado controls their own destiny, and they could play. I mean, the Wild could play Vegas, but again, it's going to be a tough matchup either way. So, Voldy, do you see this being a Colorado Minnesota Wild matchup again in the playoffs, or do you think maybe it might be Vegas and the Wild?
Right. Yeah, I can definitely see it being Avs and Wild again. I don't want it to be Colorado. I would make it more than anything to be the Vegas Golden Knights playing against the Wild, because the Wild have played great against Vegas pretty much all year. Whenever they play the Avalanche, you either get the best game of the year or the worst game of the year. You either win 8-1, you lose 8-1. Basically, that's how it's been this year when they play Colorado. It doesn't matter if it's at home or it's on the road. You never know what you're going to get game to game with this matchup overall. I just don't want to see, because Colorado's just got way too many guys that can score, and it's exhausting to try and find ways to stop them. But somehow the Wild did it this year, found a couple of ways to get a few points away from them as well. But I mean, there's the potential the Wild finishing second or third, either playing host to or, getting on the road against Colorado. There's still a chance that the Wild could play Vegas as the 3 seed. I mean, there's too many situations, too many scenarios right now. And, the Wild still got 2 more games to play here tonight and tomorrow night. And, we'll see how that all happens for them.
And obviously it's against the Blues. The Wild have had their struggles against them too. So, let's keep our fingers crossed that things go well tonight here. But a couple things to look at, and for if it is going to be the Colorado Avalanche, the Wild went 2-2 against them at home against the, but they lost 3 of 4 at Ball Arena in Colorado. So there's that to factor in as well. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to adjust. I mean, McKinnon has been fantastic for the Avs, and it always seems to be the Avs and the Wild, and they go to Game 7. Will it go? I mean, is it the best of 7 or whatever this time for this first round, or is it something different? I'm not sure.
I think it might be best of 7. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I'm not sure as well. But again, there's something that I feel like we have to bring up. We talked about it. Okay, we've talked about it constantly. Kirill the Thrill, but other guys have been stepping up. Bonino, Sturm, guys like that have, carried the Foligno. I mean, my God, the guy's a beast. And for one, too, I mean, I think it was last week that Bill Kirill got in a little scuffle. He got knocked down, but then he picked up WWE'd the guy. Boom, put him down. And there's tenacity with this team, and that's what we want to see with this team. Is now a lot of these NHL teams are looking at Bill Kirill as a huge threat. I mean, they're trying to get him rattled, things like that. But the guy doesn't get rattled. And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how good he is. And, the only way I see this ending badly is if they don't, if things look good in the regular season, which sometimes it looks really good with them. But when they get to the playoffs, something just doesn't click. It doesn't click for the Wild. So I'm concerned about that. But at the same time, we got Bill Kirill. Okay, Bill Kirill, I feel like, is going to bring his A game. He's going to bring it to another level, I feel like. And the other guys will chip in as well, Parise, Suter. I mean, they've been in this situation before, too. So if it is the Avs, then that's what it's going to have to be. But if it's against Vegas, Voldy, I'm kind of with you on this. I think if it's against Vegas, I feel like they have a better shot at taking down Vegas than they do the Avs. And I think a lot of the experts are kind of leaning towards that as well. So if it is against Vegas, I think they'll be ready to go. And it's totally up to how things end with the Avs. And the Avs they control their own destiny. There's a lot of scenarios in which this thing could happen and whatnot. So, Voldy, then my last question here, and I asked this to the zoners as well. Do they get past the first round? I mean, obviously it depends on who they play, things like that. But at this point, do you think that whoever they play, do you think they're going to get past these guys? Do they think if they get past the first round, I think you consider this season as a huge success nonetheless.
Definitely.
What do you think?
Yeah. If it's Colorado they play, I say they don't make it out of the first round. I mean, 2-2 at home against the Avs, but lose just 1-3 on the road in Colorado doesn't help. I mean, and especially those games where the Wild play and they just got absolutely walloped by the Avalanche for some reason in those contests. I don't see them if it is Colorado, it's going to take the best games of the year for those players to get past Colorado. If it's Vegas, I say they do make it out of the first round. They went 2-2 and 3-1 at home again. 2-2 on the road, 3-1 at home against Vegas this year. I think they're definitely a strong contender though as well. But a lot of people picked Colorado at the beginning of the year to be the representative out of the Western Conference for the Stanley Cup Finals, and I would have to agree with them as well. But again, if the Wild find a way to get past them, that goes all right out the door. But I just really wanted to be Vegas for some reason, and definitely not the Avalanche. I couldn't take a couple more of those blowout losses against the Avalanche this year.
Yeah, and again, I just feel like whenever we play Vegas, it could go either way. It could go either way against the Avalanche, things like that. But if they do lose in the first round, I don't want to say I'm giving them a pass because we've been through this before in the first round. Wild get the first round, they lose. But I think you look at going into the offseason, there's been talk, from what I hear, Jack Eichel, that things are not going well with him and the Sabres. Yeah. So that could be a possibility, which I think Guerin might look into. So don't be surprised if that happens.
Let's hope so.
But if they get past the first round, I think it's a success of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they don't, I mean, I guess it's okay. We can't give them, be like, oh, this is a travesty, rebuild, things like that. No, they're not at that point at all. So let's forget about doing that. But yeah, Voldy, I think I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I feel like I'd rather have them play Vegas than Colorado at this point. But then again, there's been a history of the playoffs with the Wild playing well against the Avs. So we also have that to fall back on. So we'll see what happens. And we'll keep you updated on the game tonight as well. I believe it starts at 8. But we'll be, during ARA, we'll keep a look and seeing if the Wild score right away. Usually they do, which is pretty sweet. So, but anyway, Voldy, let's get to some table topics. It's been a while since we've done some table topics. The Zoners, we want you to chime in as well. We've got 3 of them tonight. They're really good, by the way, too. And I think a lot of you will resonate with this a little bit. And also, a big shout out to Mama Callahan for these. These have been awesome. So, I don't know. We might be getting through the stack here, Voldy. We might have to get some new ones. So
I was going to say I might have to get the new version if there is any.
I think there might be. We'll look into it. I think Amazon might have something. So we'll keep our eye on it. But anyway, let's get it going with some table topics.
The tables have been set. It's time for MinneZona's Table Topics.
All right, Voldy, it's time for some table topics. We got 3 of them tonight. Obviously, you guys know the deal. It's pretty much, I asked the question. Voldy gives his thought on what he thinks, and then I give mine, and then the Zoners comment in whenever, and we'll get it on air here for you as well. And then there's a fact on the backside of the card, and we'll let you know what we got with that too. So anyway, let's get it going with some table topics. The first one I have for you, Voldy, and I think this one is very good too. There's a lot of cool songs in regards to sports.
Okay.
What's your favorite sports song in sports? What do you got? What do you got, Voldy? And Zoners.
The main one that comes to my mind instantly, John Fogerty, Center Field.
Ooh.
I think that's a great one.
Yeah. I think that one's definitely up for that too. The Zoners probably have some as well. But, the one thing that comes to my mind, and I feel like this song has been played at many stadiums, since probably the early 2000s or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Till I Collapse by Eminem, Nate Dogg. That one is, I swear, I hear that still to this day at high school stadium, college, even in the end. There are plenty of those that play that song. I'm not saying it's my favorite one by any means, but if we're cluing in, like maybe even with movies, and it's the Space Jam, everybody get up, it's time to slam, that one, or but the John Ford, Center Field, that one is a classic. Take me out to the ball game.
Alabama, Cheap Seats, that's another good one.
Yeah.
So good.
What's the cold beer on a Friday night?
What? Chicken fried.
Chicken fried. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. That one plays in baseball stadiums everywhere, as well. So. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones with your favorite song with sports, or what gets you pumped up. Till I Collapse, I think, is one of those ones that gets you pumped. Not only for like basketball, any sport you could play it. I feel like, but it's kind of one of those pump up songs that you really like. But anyway, Zoners, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments section. But there's plenty of. There's a top 5, according to Bleacher Report, on the facts side, as we let the Zoners chime in on some of their favorite songs, sports songs. But number 5, Voldy and Zoners, Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter. Okay, that's at number 5, apparently. Yeah. Hey! And then, you can add your own spin to it. I think in high school they did, hey, you suck, or something. Suck. Yeah. Classic. Number 4, and this one, it doesn't surprise me. Take Me Out to the Ball Game. It's the 7th inning stretch. You gotta sing. The Cubs have made it kind of famous as well, so it's something along those lines as well. Number 3, Chariots of Fire, the theme of that song as well.
Yep.
I know that's one very well.
Yep.
Now this one, I'm surprised no one's put in this one yet, but I think this one's a top one here too. Number 2, We Will Rock You by Queen. Okay, now that is that one is probably one of the best ones as well. That plays in so many stadiums. It's played in almost everywhere. We Are the Champions, I feel like, is played whenever, after a Super Bowl or whatever. It depends on how you put it. But are you ready for the number 1? The number 1 best sports song, according to Bleacher Report.
Yeah, I gotta know what this is.
You do? You might?
No, I have to know what it is.
Yeah. Let's see. The thing is that this pertains to one of our top guests who actually these guests won the awards in 2020, Best Guest Awards.
Right.
And it's number 1 is Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. That one absolutely played during Rocky 3, one of the most underrated movies of the Rocky franchise. Eye of the Tiger. Caitlin Toner, stand up. Start clapping. That's the top. Toner. Be recognized. This is what we got, and I'm not lying to you here. Look at this. Eye of the Tiger, number 1, best sports songs, and then all these as well. There's plenty of great ones. You can't dispute a lot of this, but it's another thing to be looking at as well. All right, so Mets actually has a really good one here. Sweet Caroline is played everywhere. Everywhere.
Yep, Sweet Caroline.
Just ask the Boston Red Sox, Voldy. That one's played a lot. So there's a lot of good songs, and zoners, if you got more, feel free to chime in. We'll still be taking a lot of those requests. So we're going to move on to our next one, though, because there's more to get to. All right, here we go, Voldy. Which historical sporting event do you most wish you could have attended? What do you got for us? You got to take some time.
Probably the one that stands out the most in my mind probably be Game 6, 91 World Series. That stands out most significantly in my mind, especially with the home run from Kirby. That would be the one.
That's prominent.
I think in my mind, yeah.
That one is prominent, and gosh, there's so many I would love to see. I mean, that one's hard to beat. If you wanted to stick with a Minnesota, in a Minnesota theme, I think that one would be a top one too. Oh, gosh. A lot of people are going to say, well, he's just going to say the Minneapolis Miracle. But anyway, I had my own experience. I mean, that's my own experience with that, and I feel like we can save that for the North Remembers at some point when we get to it. But at the same time, obviously I would have loved to have been there for that and just to see the pandemonium that ensued in that. But, there's a lot of games that I would have loved to see. And Voldy, I'm surprised the 28 to 28 to 3. That
was going to be my non-Minnesota one.
And that's fine.
Yeah, the Super Bowl 51 comeback. Yeah. That was going to be my other choice for sure.
Now, that one, the Minnesota one, and honestly, I probably wouldn't have wanted to be there, but the 2009 NFC Championship game, I think, would have been too painful for me to endure, especially in a place in New Orleans, which, again, I hate that place, for one. But at the same time, that would have been too painful. But at the same, I think, who knows, maybe I would have made a difference from the stands. No, I'm kidding. That's up for absurd statement. But anyway, for a non-one, that's hard to pinpoint for me because there's a lot. There's been a lot of interesting games. I'm gonna kind of go off instead of NFL or MLB or anything. I'm gonna go NBA, and the reason why I'm gonna go NBA with this is I feel like this series. The one with the Cavs and the Warriors, when the Cavs won it, I think it was it Game 7? Yeah, I think it was Game 7. They're down 3-1. They come back. I wanted to see that game. That Game 7 was insane. That game was amazing. I mean, LeBron had a key block. Kyrie had the dagger for the three-pointer, which was contested, by the way. So I'm going off the cuff, and I'm going to go with that game. I mean, that was a fun series to watch, and mentally, they just, Golden State just couldn't handle it. I mean, they were still a juggernaut, and even the year after when they won as well. But, yeah, I'm going to go off the cuff. I'm going to go Game 7 of that. I think it's 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
2016, yep.
Yeah, 2016. So I'm going to go with that one, just to kind of switch things up a little bit. I mean, there's plenty of NFL games. I mean, Super Bowl, there's a lot of good Super Bowls, very good Super Bowls, and maybe the one in Minneapolis with the Eagles and the Patriots. I mean, that game was very entertaining. Obviously, it wasn't on the winning end for the Patriots on your for you, but just kind of experiencing that in Minnesota would be kind of nice. But anyway, zoners, you chime in whenever. We'll get you on, and you guys give us where you guys would have wanted to been. So anyway, founding years of major sporting events. Okay, so we're going to start off in 1851, Voldy.
Okay.
America's Cup in 1851. Now, not too long after that, in 1875, the Kentucky Derby. Derby, and that happened not too long ago. I mean, not too long ago, as in like a week or two ago, for the Kentucky Derby. The modern Olympic Games was in 1896, Voldy. 1896. And not short after that, in 1897, the Boston Marathon. The Boston Marathon.
Wow.
Yeah. This is very interesting. 1903, we're going to the MLB, the World Series. The World Series. As the sun is kind of, hitting you on the face.
It's literally coming into my eyes right now. I even have my light on, too.
And he's got, I mean, you're just getting more natural light.
Let me go over here.
Yeah. No, there you go.
Like you can see the reflection. This is the sun.
That's
this is
the
my
first
light.
time this has ever happened.
Over here, this is the light.
This is literally the first time this has ever happened, I feel like.
Mother Nature at its finest.
Yeah, there you go. But the next one, Voldy, we got the Indianapolis 500, 1911.
Wow.
And then the last one I got for you here, the FIFA World Cup, 1930. 1930, the FIFA World Cup. That's when that was happening.
I can't even imagine watching a soccer game back then.
Yeah. Don't say that to Toner,
nuts.
though. She might not like that. But, it's crazy. The timeline on this it's interesting. I didn't even know that, for goodness sake. So there's that to factor in. All right, zoners, again, chime in. Feel free to. We encourage you to give your thoughts on it as well. Which historical sporting event do you most wish you could have attended? Let us know.
I think I scared off everybody from last week by calling everybody cowards.
Yeah, that's true.
Something.
Yeah, I mean,
bro, I've been here the whole time.
I mean, the thing is that with Julian, it's you gave your thoughts. I mean, that's all you did. So you got to factor that in as well. But I think people really just like listening to us. So there's that. I don't know.
This is also true.
Yeah, so
it's also nice out. Nobody wants to be cooped up inside watching us. You might as well take us with you. Why not?
You can take us with. I mean, I don't see why not. You can, unless you have crappy service, which I hope you don't.
This is also true.
So there's that to factor in, and there's people that tune in after. So there's that. Here's the last one. This one's very interesting too. It's a little bit more. I think a lot of people will actually chime in with this. Are dangerous sports more fun to watch? Voldy, with your Mustang for Life glasses, what do you think?
Yes.
Yes.
The higher the danger, the greater the sport. The greater that it is. Because remember when the Red Bull people used to do, like a guy's going to jump off a bridge or he's going to jump onto something like New Year's Eve?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That was like well over a decade ago. People watched that on New Year's Eve. Like they'd watch that, then they watch the ball drop. The guy's going to jump on the arches in Vegas and then jump back down off of. It literally only took 30 seconds to do it, but there was like 5 hours of hype leading up to it. And I mean, the higher the danger that there is, the more people are going to watch it. There's no doubt about that, and I'm all for it. So yes is the answer.
Yes is the answer, but at the same time, I feel like with sports right now, Voldy, and zoners, is that there's a lot of danger, and I feel like with football, there's a lot of it, especially with all the precautions that they've taken with concussions, ACL injuries, other lower body injuries as well, and they know the repercussions of if you have too many concussions. And you have to worry about guys like Gronk. He's had a lot of concussions. I mean, he's still playing, but granted, I think, I think he understands it. Wes Welker is another guy. And, obviously, we all know the story with Junior Seau, and it's sad, too. So there's that with football. Hockey, to an extent, but nothing that's completely, totally off the rails. I feel like you don't hear much about, career-ending injuries. And for the fact, too, of what's been going on at the University of Minnesota, the football team. WCCO saying, guys said practices were too hard, things like that. I mean, I think we need more information before we make any judgments about what's going on at the University of Minnesota. But it seems to me like a lot of the players have backed Fleck. The university has backed Fleck on this as well. So it feels like, there's a lot more to be said about what's been going on. But at the same time, not only football, but, you got to look into sports like, gymnastics. There's been some nasty injuries there. And there's been some nasty injuries even with hockey, lacrosse, baseball to an extent too. I mean, you're getting hit with 90-mile-an-hour fastballs or any pitches for that matter too. But at the same time, I feel like when we're watching a sport that's dangerous, it's something that entices you and it's more exciting. Whereas when you look at golf, there's really nothing that you can, there's really nothing dangerous, things like that. So I don't know. I just feel like if there's more danger within the sport, then the better, and the better the content, things like that. Basketball is another one to factor in as well. So, but anyway, looks like we got more zoners chiming in here. Skeleton is fun. Watching a guy going head first on a sled at 60 miles an hour. Eesh. Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, watch out for that. But it's I feel like I'm in the same boat, Voldy. They're more fun to watch because, again, there's a lot at risk. I mean, with the NFL, anyone can get hurt on any given Sunday and be out for however long, and how that impacts the team, is something that's interesting. And, we want full recoveries and whatnot, so there's that. Anyway, here is an interesting fact, or facts, and obviously there's a lot into this. The most dangerous women's sports percentage of all catastrophic injuries in high school and college. Okay, so let's remember just high school and college, okay? Okay, we're going to start off with the smallest percentages, okay? 3%. Basketball, okay? Makes sense. Number 3, softball. That one kind of, or no, not number 3, but 3% softball. Kind of surprises me a little bit. I feel like there's been some injuries with that. 3% as well. Field hockey, which, yeah, I could see that.
All right.
6% with track. Now, maybe Kristen Weber could dispute that. I don't know. I mean, she's being a coach. She's a coach right now, so maybe we can ask her.
Pulled hamstrings and everything, man.
Exactly. 7% gymnastics. Gymnastics is a big one as well.
Yep.
But that's 7%. 10% all other sports. So that's anything outside of what we just mentioned. 66%. Voldy, can you guess? Do you want to make a guess? What do you think?
High school and college.
Yeah.
I would probably say ice hockey.
No.
Ooh.
Cheerleading.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
Yeah, cheerleading. And honestly,
the competitive cheerleading. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's been some, that gets very competitive, extremely competitive. So there's that to factor in as well. But that's a large margin, and I'm not joking when I'm saying. I mean, take a look at
2/3 of that whole pie right there.
Right. I mean, that eats up a lot, and there's a lot of competitive dancing and things like that. But yeah, I don't dispute that. I do not dispute that. But this is very interesting, and this was done by the National Center of Catastrophic Sport Injury Research. So, seems pretty official to me, if you ask me. But
looks good on a business card.
Yeah, looks good on a business card. But a lot of these, I think Double Trouble could even chime in on these. We got to get them back on. But there's a lot of good table topics for tonight, and we appreciate the zoners tuning in for table topics. And if you guys got anything that you want to add to, let us know. We're more than happy to get you on here and whatnot. So, but anyway, Voldy, I think it's time to get on to ARA. There's a lot of good ARA stories this week, and I think One of them involves the Vikings. One involves some other things. The Oakland Athletics might not be the Oakland Athletics anymore. So we got a lot of good ones tonight. So let's get it going with some absurd or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, so let's get it going with absurd or approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, reports have come out here this week as we start off with absurd or approved. The Minnesota Vikings are looking at beefing up their defensive line a little bit more, even with some guys that have opted out from last year, guys coming back that were hurt, and just even straight up free agency deals. One of them, according to Darren Wolfson of KSTP, saying that the Vikings have shown interest in four-time Pro Bowl defensive end Ryan Kerrigan of the Washington football team. Now, Kerrigan does present an interesting piece to the puzzle. 32 years old, 10 years. He spent his entire career in Washington, 95 and a half sacks as well. Even though he didn't play very much in 2020, he still put up 5.5 sacks last year for the second straight season as well. Absurd or approved, the Vikings showing interest in Ryan Kerrigan.
Well, I'm just going to start it off right now. It's got my stamp of approval. Because I like this because they want somebody opposite Daniil. And obviously they got some guys that I think that they could, very much. I mean, yeah, you got Weatherly, Jalen Holmes, Patrick Jones, who they drafted as well. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I feel like they need more of a veteran presence too. And a guy that has proven himself. And to be honest, every time I feel like the Vikings take on Washington, Ryan Kerrigan, somehow, some way, is a thorn in the side of Minnesota Vikings offensive line. Just think if he was finally on our side. And I think it's very possible that they could work out a deal. Slick Rick, Rob Brzezinski can work out a deal to try and get him on the team. And this tells me that they expect Daniil to come back. They're not. I mean, with all the contract, all this hullabaloo about Daniil wanting out and things like that, I think he's coming back. And to be honest, I follow him on Instagram, on the socials medias. The guy's looking really good. I mean, the guy is looking like a beast. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they strike out on Kerrigan, but I in my opinion, if they do, there's still some other guys you can look into. And I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say this will happen. But you could look back to Everson. Everson's a vocal leader, and I think that could very much help the Vikings at this point. But having him and Daniil back could prove beneficial, but I feel like it's going to be at a reduced role. Now, with Kerrigan, I feel like this guy still has a little bit left in the tank. And with the right, I mean, Andre Patterson's probably one of the best defensive line coaches in the league. He is still, I mean, he's assistant defensive coordinator still, or co-defensive coordinators, or whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, he's been known to mold guys, and I think this would be a perfect match. Ryan Kerrigan and the Minnesota Vikings defensive line. Let's play. Let's get it going. Now, we got the Zonas chiming in here, and Easy A's pulling a Cole Munson. I agree, but with what? Money. They have money. They do have some cap space, and I think that they will be able to work out a deal that'll work out for both sides. I mean, they got Weatherly, they got Jalen Holmes, Patrick Jones. But at the same time, I think they're going to be able to work out a deal. And then, like you mentioned before, they looked at D.D. Westbrook, another possible wide receiver 3, which I wouldn't be against as well. So I think the Vikings will look into it. And if they have time, they don't have to, they don't have to, worry about getting this guy right now because there's really no rush because no teams are really signing much besides the Packers signing Blake Bortles lately here. But there's that, especially with the revving of the engine over in Aiken. But anyway, it's got my stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this would be a good spot to land a veteran guy just because the fact I think that's just one thing that's kind of missing on the defensive line. Yes, you got Michael Pierce, you got Dalvin Tomlinson, then you got a couple. Of course, we don't know the full extent of how healthy that Daniil's going to be coming back, and it looks like the Sun's going to be more in my favor here. We'll just keep it right here for right now. But I definitely want to say that this is going to be a smart move if they decide to make the move. But obviously with what Easy A is saying, what money are we going to be looking at here if we do get a Ryan Kerrigan? Obviously he wants to get his veterans cut as well. May take a few extra dollars for that to happen, but if they do strike a deal, I wouldn't be mad about this. I think it'd be good for Kerrigan to get on a team that can actually win some games, especially with the amount of experience he's had since he came to the league 10 years ago out of Purdue. So I think this has got my stamp of approval as well.
I think you bring in a guy that's been a thorn in your side every time you've played him, and you let him be on the team and say, hey, this is how I beat you. And then again, it could help the Vikings offensive line in practice. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of some cool things that could work for the Vikings. But yeah, stamp of approval all around. They'll work out a deal. They'll have enough money to land, I feel, Ryan Kerrigan, if they so choose. So I think Kerrigan would be a good match for the Vikings. So, but anyway, next one, Voldy.
Well, it's always been a tale as old as time. What if you put a football player on the track, and what if you put a track runner out on the football field? Well, at least one of those two came true this past Sunday. DK Metcalf, wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks, and internet meme sensation with his rundown tackle of the interception from Budda Baker this past season. Well, DK Metcalf made his professional track debut with the USA Track and Field Golden Games and Distance Open in California this past week. And, well, he didn't win the thing, but he fared better than most people thought he would have. Sure. Ran a time of 10.37 seconds with an official time, which did place him last in his heat out of 9 runners, but 15th out of 17th of the amount of runners that were in those 2 heats as well. Looking at overall, is it absurd or approved? Could DK Metcalf, if given the time and the amount of training that he could he make the Olympic team? And who else would you see of an all-NFL or all-pro athletes team to maybe do some damage for Team USA?
Well, first of all, DK Metcalf is a freak. An absolute freak of nature. The guy is a beast. And for being that big and being able to run that fast with the way that he is, I mean, for gosh sake, if you haven't seen the video of, Russell Wilson throws an interception, Budda Baker takes it, and you think it's an easy touchdown. But Metcalf just hauled ass all the way to tackle him. And Budda Baker, I think, said something along the lines of, how the F did he catch up to me? How is that even possible? I mean, the guy is a freak of nature. He is one hell of a wide receiver for one, too. I think he could. I definitely think he could. But the thing is I feel like, DK, he's so muscular, but I feel like he has to, lose some of that in order to be faster, which, again, I don't think it would be much, to be honest with you. But a guy at that size and that can run that fast, and he fared better than a lot of people, thought he would. The thing is, he didn't lose by much. So there's that to factor in as well. You have to, it takes a lot to be to go that fast. And, obviously the Seahawks were fine with him doing that. But, again, you got to wonder, too, you got to be careful because you take one wrong step and all of a sudden, torn Achilles. So
Yep.
we don't want that for DK Metcalf, because I do like DK Metcalf. I think he's great. Voldy, I think he was even on your fantasy football team, if I remember correctly.
Dude, DK was an automatic at least one touchdown a game this past year, and he did wonders for me. I mean, I had him, and I had Russ this year too, so I was definitely not hurting. I didn't win the whole thing, but you know what? I wasn't hurting in a lot of regards as well. But yeah, having him was a godsend as well. I mean, I feel bad for the two guys that finished behind DK, because those guys are professionals, and you got this guy who literally just showed up, did a little bit of light stretching, and then just ran a la Deion Sanders in his pro combine, run the 40, and then just get in the limo, get out, and then get back in the limo and go back to the airport or whatever. Yeah, but I feel bad for those two guys that finished behind DK. I think, given the time, given him the opportunity to train, and obviously, too, with the size that he has, you see the guys that run for Team USA or qualify for the Olympics. I mean, they're well built, we'll say. They're athletes. There's no problem about that. Muscular, but it's a lot leaner muscle as well. Can't see these big bulky guys go out there and doing what they do on a regular basis with the sheer size that you can get with others as well. But I think DK would definitely fare well, because you know what, there's certainly an opportunity for that to happen in the future. But wasn't there a guy in San Francisco who was
Marquise
wasn't
Goodwin.
it a Goodwin? Yeah, Marquise Goodwin.
He was a track athlete.
Yeah, he was a track athlete. I think he's trying for Team USA this time around, too. Or he was the last time around.
Yeah. As we got the DK train going by, obviously throwing it out there. That's crazy.
They get louder as the day goes on. It's ridiculous.
It's interesting. It's very interesting. So you only find this on MinneZona Sports Live. So now I want to answer your question. DK or not, or Tyreek Hill. I mean, I think he would be one. I already said I was going to say that when you asked the second part of the question. So, Easy A, I'm with Easy A on this. I think Tyreek Hill would be the next guy. All right, Mikey says it's 100% approved. He ran in a football body against professional track athletes and competed. If he lost about 20 to 30 pounds, he'd be winning. And that would be lean. He would be more lean, things like that. But I think I think he could do it. And the thing is that he's still, his third year in the league coming up this year? Yep. So, I mean, the sky's the limit. And A.J. Brown, his Ole Miss teammate, who's with the Tennessee Titans, I could see him being a great athlete as well. But, I'd like to see Adam Thielen maybe. I don't know. I think Adam Thielen could get it done. So, Voldy, I mean, I guess we got what you thought, but who else would you like to see?
Obviously Tyreek would be number one.
Yep.
DK. If I'm thinking about some guys in their prime, I mean, those two automatically are the two that stand out at the top of the list. Boy, there's a lot of interesting people that you would want to put on this list, especially in their prime, given time to maybe shape up and see how they would develop. I couldn't name anybody else other than those two guys.
Yeah.
I just want to see it happen. Maybe obviously like NFL guys, maybe T.O. back in the day in his prime, Chad Ochocinco, maybe Randy, just to see what they could do. Footwork does count, but at the same time, let's see what they can do with those long legs of theirs and see how fast they can get out in front of some guys. But it's a whole different animal, a whole different beast. But I mean, there's some guys out there that could certainly do it. Now let's see what some of these tracksters can do on the football field. That would be interesting to see.
Outside of football, Matt says, but Buxton.
Yes.
That's another good name, too. But Mets would say, well, he might get hurt. Yes, I know he's hurt right now, and we'll maybe get to that next week with the Twins. But Deion Sanders. Yeah, Deion, I mean, he played two sports when he was around, too. For shot put, because I want to throw out, because I used to be a shot put coach, by the way, for high school. Michael Pierce. For shot put or hammer throw or something like that. The guy's a beast. Or Linval Joseph as well. Mm-hmm. Watch out for those guys. I mean, they'd be throwing some. the shot put would go far, very far. Hammer throw, same deal, discus. Bo Jackson. We can't forget about Bo Jackson as well. Easy as is pointing out too. So, yeah, a lot of good convo with this one. So, we'll see. I don't know if DK retires and wants to do that. I think he would definitely do it. So, we'll see what happens. Next one, Voldy.
Well, here's an interesting story in the last week that did attract attention of some players. Well, tied end of the National Football League, Sean Culkin recently attracted some attention of making his plan to be the first NFL player to have his salary and his paycheck converted 100% into cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, whatever you want to call it nowadays.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he was released by the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday, as now he's going to be trying to earn a job with the Chiefs as a backup behind the likes of Travis Kelce and others that are trying to vie for that job as well. Boy, we keep hearing about cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin making a comeback once again, Dogecoin as well. That's kind of popped up as of late. Is it absurd or approved that Sean Culkin wanted his salary completely converted into the crypto?
Well, I don't know much about this. I was trying to look
I don't
up.
know either, and it's driving me insane. People keep talking about it. I have no idea what the hell it actually is.
Well, I think this is good, though, because if there is somebody that wants to explain it to us
please,
or dumb it down for us people that have no clue what this is, let us know. But I look at this and I say, what is wrong with just keeping it the way it is? I mean, all these other players are doing it. And I think, was it Russell Okung was doing something with Bitcoin or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Or something weird. Honestly, I think it's absurd. And the reason why I think it's absurd is, why can't you just do it the normal way? I mean, what benefit does Bitcoin have? And prove me wrong on this, because I don't know jack what about this stuff. And I mean, if he were to convert it, his salary would have been about $920,000. Okay, so there's it would have been a lot to put that in. But I just don't understand the Bitcoin bit, I should say. But again, him being released, it looks like, when you're with the Chiefs, it's kind of, you're going to be behind Travis Kelce. Who's going to be the backup? Well, Blake Bell, right. He's been in the league for a little bit too. Noah Gray of Duke, they got in the 5th round, so they want to get a little bit younger. But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know why it's such a big thing. And again, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And again, I don't know much about this stuff. But at the same time, it's just like, why can't we just keep it normal? That's why I say it's absurd. It's just like, just take your money, put it in your account, and call it good. Call it good. And then this Dogecoin or whatever the hell it's called, I don't know. I just think I'd rather just keep it simple. That's just me. Easy A says one thing of Bitcoin is worth $55,000.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Yeah.
You get paid in actual coins? Is it money? Is it not?
Do we know?
Because I know what the crypto is. You have money, but you don't actually have money, like physical money. It's out there. It's like in the cloud or something like that. Your money's out there.
Yeah.
But you don't actually have it.
Like
I don't understand.
I don't understand it. And Zim's cussing right here, too, because I don't know what this is. So I say it's absurd. Just go the easy way. Get your check. Call it good. Let's leave it at that. That's how I look at
most
it.
of our listeners are going, okay, boomer, right now.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. So, Voldy, what do you think, if anything, of this?
Obviously, if it was somebody else like Russell Wilson saying, yeah, I'm going to convert my salary all into crypto, I would be fine like that. That'd be like, that's smart, because obviously man's making plenty of money to, make the switch and doesn't have to worry about it as well. But obviously a guy who's going to be a third-string tight end with the Chiefs that probably won't see the field as all, it's pretty absurd just because of the fact that he wanted to be the first guy to do it. Well, you don't exactly have the clout to do so as well. But, I mean, if we can get somebody a little bit more well-prominent in the league to make the switch to Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, I mean, that will certainly change a few minds and maybe, open up some opportunities for people within professional organizations to become the crypto experts as opposed to the people that are signing the checks and keeping the books as well. So I think overall it's completely absurd for Sean Culkin.
Yeah. Sorry, Sean, but we think it's absurd. And, I think, Voldy, you and I are kind of old school in this, and I'm going to play the sound bite because we like playing this here.
Straight cash, homie.
Straight cash, homie. That's what you want. You want the Randy Moss straight cash, homie. That's what you want. Not this Bitcoin or Dogecoin, whatever the hell it's called. Just get your check and move on. That's how I look at it. But
we're getting too old, man. It's a young people's game, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. We'll just leave it at that. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, unfortunately, this past week it was announced that Albert Pujols of the Los Angeles Angels was designated for assignment by the Angels, given the fact that, he hasn't really been performing in the twilight of his career, especially with the fact that that 10-year, $240 million contract he signed a few years ago, not exactly holding its weight in worth in cryptocurrency or gold or whatever you want to pay for it nowadays as well. Looking at the entire scope and the bulk of his career as well, is Albert Pujols' career and his resume hurt, or is it only just a bump in the road at the twilight of his career being with the Angels? Is it absurd or approved?
I was a big fan of Pujols, and I still am. But I believe it's the beginning of the end for the machine. Right. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes you just got to know when to call it a career. And he's had a fantastic career. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Pujols is going to probably go down as one of the best baseball players in the MLB. I don't think it hurts his legacy whatsoever. I just think Father Time catches up to you, and as much as obviously if you want to compare, Brady's been then again Brady's done the right things. Not saying that Pujols hasn't, but sometimes when I think Brady even put it himself, when I suck, I'll be done.
Right.
And maybe that's what Pujols is gonna do here too, is say, well, I kind of suck now and go from there. But, the one thing I was looking at before the show, reading something about this, somebody was quoted, and Misa Sani, is he the first year? GM, it's their GM. It's more about opportunity. Albert is not a bench player. We feel like for him, with respect to him, keeping him on the bench, him not getting any playing time will not do him any good or the team any good, which makes sense because if you're sitting on the bench, you're just warming the bench. But if you give him an assignment, you send him down and have him play a little bit, maybe something could click, and then all of a sudden Pujols is back to being, Albert, and that's something I think they're looking at. But with that contract, that's a pretty significant. But you have Ohtani and you have Trout too, but. At the same time, I just think you got to look at it and say, maybe it's time because, comparing what he's done for the Cardinals and the Angels, what he did with the Cardinals surpasses anything that he's been doing with the Angels, which isn't a knock, but just the reality of the situation. Albert's one of the best baseball players of all time, so there's that. Metz says St. Louis should sign him for one game to let him retire a Cardinal. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think that'd be fantastic. So, but to answer your question, Voldy, and whether I think it's absurd or approved, I don't think this is something that's going to hurt his career. So, I think it's absurd that if people think that if it's going to hurt his career, I don't think it's going to hurt his career. I think you just got to look at it and say, I think the end is near for Albert Pujols. His career's at an end at some point, and he's a Hall of Famer. He's first ballot, so I don't see anything wrong with that. But anyway, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, his time in LA wasn't exactly what they wanted. They expected when they brought him. Let's talk about also too when they signed Albert Pujols to Angels. They also signed Josh Hamilton as well. I almost
Yep.
said Josh Donaldson.
Yeah.
Josh Hamilton at the same time as well. Josh Hamilton hasn't been in the league for at least 5 or 6 years now at this point too. In fact, I think he had another stint with the Rangers at that point before they finally, let him out of baseball. But looking at the numbers overall, I mean, he had 445 home runs in 11 seasons with the Cardinals, 10 seasons with the Angels, 222. Obviously, the last couple of seasons, it's been more about beefing up the numbers. 600 career home runs, 3,000 career hits, over 2,000 RBIs driven in. That's what the last couple of years have been about.
Yeah.
Because they know as soon as Ohtani signed with them being a two-way player that, it was going to be hard to find a spot for Pujols, especially with, his defense not as strong as it once was over at first. And they weren't going to put him over at third base. In fact, even in a blowout game a couple weeks ago, they had him out in left field, where that's where he started his career as well. As soon as they did that, I knew that that was going to be the end for Pujols in his time as well, because, I mean, there isn't too much that can be said. 3-time NL MVP, 10-time All-Star, 2 Gold Gloves.
Yeah.
He's won 6 Silver Sluggers, and a 2-time World Series champion, both with the St. Louis Cardinals. I think his time in LA isn't going to hurt the overall picture. It's just going to look back and he didn't really do much in the later half of his career, but his numbers were so big in the first 11 years of his time with the Cardinals. It's not going to hurt. He's still going to be a Hall of Famer outright as well. It's just, but what could have happened if he would have stayed in St. Louis? Because when he left, he left right after they won the World Series in 2011. And it's just like, if you would have stayed, boy, there would have been a couple good more years. We could have seen a few more World Series out of the Cardinals for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. And obviously, when you had a guy like Trout and Pujols, and then and whatnot, you think, oh, the Angels are going to win a lot, but you just didn't see it. You really didn't see it. But yeah, I think you and I both agree. I don't think it's going to hurt his career. So
right.
We'll go from there. He's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, so no issues with that. All right, last one, Voldy.
Well, Major League Baseball decided to give the go-ahead for the Oakland A's to start looking elsewhere for a new venue and a new site for their franchise. Now, the Oakland A's have been talking about building a new stadium, getting out of the old Oakland Coliseum for quite a few years. Of course, they are looking at the proposed building of a waterfront stadium in downtown Oakland at the Howard Terminal site, but things aren't exactly looking in favor of that. But some reports have come out recently that maybe even Las Vegas being a possible site for the Athletics to be moving on as well. And it's also funny, too, because it seems that Major League Baseball wants Oakland and the Athletics to move for some reason, because they keep saying, yeah, go ahead and do it. Just go. Just do something. They're poking them with the stick. Go ahead and do something. Is it absurd or approved? The Oakland Athletics will be playing somewhere else, and where would that be?
Well, I don't know. It's just something about Oakland, I feel like now. The Oakland Raiders, they moved to Las Vegas. Golden State Warriors, they moved to where did they move
San Francisco.
to? Yeah, San Fran. So it's
they're still Golden State. They're still in the Bay, but it's the other Bay.
Right. So I don't know what it is. It's just you feel bad for some of the longtime Raider fans that that loved Oakland and whatnot. But I feel like every time this has happened with a team like this, they revert back to Las Vegas. It's like, gosh, Las Vegas is going to get all these teams. The Golden Knights, they got now the Raiders. And it's like, what's so special about it? And granted, I'm not saying, Vegas is just completely, a terrible place and everything. Even though I wasn't very impressed with Vegas when I went with my family in like 2010 or whatever it was, visiting there. But at the same time, it's like all of a sudden, Vegas, it's got to be Vegas. Why can't it be something else? Well, what's wrong with going somewhere else? Now, the A's Stadium is old. What they've been playing there since 1968. they think you'd make some renovations, but it's just there's not a whole lot you can work with. So I think if you look at it, the one that makes the most logical sense would probably be Vegas again. And at the same time, I'd rather see them go somewhere else. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, take every Oakland team and put them in Vegas, but I don't know if there's another team that the Zoners may have in mind, or another place where the Zoners may have in mind for a team or something like that for in the MLB. I mean, go for it. I want something different than Vegas, but it's probably that's what it's going to be. So I guess I'm going with Vegas on this. But I just think it's absurd that they can't make a new stadium in Oakland too. So I don't know. It's weird to me, but at the same time, not my team, so I don't care. So at the same time, but Voldy, what do you think?
Just something needs to happen. Either build a new damn stadium or just move already. It's the same thing that the Raiders went through the last few years when they were in Oakland. It's just like, look, you going to build a new stadium or not? If not, shut up and move already.
Right.
It's like Oakland, the field there is horrible just because of the fact you got 3 miles worth of foul ground between each dugout. You still got the bullpen mounds on the field, which does lead to some injuries at times as well. And the sight lines are just horrible. It's a football stadium. It's been a football stadium, always will be a football stadium. It's just embarrassing to go out there and watch teams play, and it's unfortunate because the A's in the last half decade haven't been exactly great teams, but they've had teams that have made the postseason. They've had some good players, and you know what? It's going to have to be Vegas. There are AAA teams in Vegas right now. I don't see why they couldn't, and obviously the big thing is whether the city council is going to vote on whether to use that site in the downtown Oakland area as a proposed building site for the stadium or not. Either way, the A's are probably going to be moving regardless whether they come back or not. I think it's completely absurd, and I would say Vegas is the way for the Oakland A's.
It's just because I can't think of any other place where they would go. That's just kind of my spiel with it. But,
yep.
I'm with you 100%. I just think, they just build a new stadium or something. I don't know. They say Oakland's a great baseball town and everything like that. Well, then do what they want you to do. Make a new damn stadium. It is what it is. And, I mean, I've always loved their jerseys. I've always loved the colors that they've had and whatnot. So if they do move to Vegas, just don't change any of that. Because, I mean, it's classic. I feel like it is, but I don't know. They might think differently on that. So we'll see what happens. So anyway, I believe that will do it for ARA this week. Great job, as always, Voldy. And we got some Shield shout-outs, and some of them involving our Zoner mothers and SMSU baseball, too.
Yeah.
Does that include Coach Payne, Coach Bartle, Coach Bo?
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, exactly. It's coming in a second. So, but anyway, let's get it going with some shout-outs.
Shield Shoutouts.
All right, it's time for some Shield shout-outs. So, Voldy, who ya shouting out tonight?
Well, we do want to wish all mothers a belated Mother's Day as well that follow us or will be following us here at MinneZona Sports Live in the near future, which also did mark the very first Mother's Day for creative consultant Mrs. Sarah Ann Tuesvold. So a happy belated Mother's Day to her, even though I did spend the weekend and we did get to go together and down to St. Cloud to hang out with my mom, her mom, Molly, my sister-in-law, and got to hang out with my niece for a little bit as well. Spending Mother's Day together on Mother's Day, which was a real nice chance as well for that. So happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. A Shield shout-out goes out to the Minnesota Wild and their fans for giving Anaheim Ducks goaltender Ryan Miller the respect before and after the game with a moment of recognition in his final contest in a NHL on the ice for an NHL team, as his career came to an end this past Saturday with a loss in overtime to the Minnesota Wild. And after the game as well, Minnesota Wild players stuck around to shake the hand of Ryan Miller, especially for all the contributions he has done for the game of hockey, and especially retiring as the winningest goaltender for American goalies, as well as a 2010 silver medalist with Team USA back in 2010. So a big Shield shout out not only to Ryan Miller, we gave him one last week, but also for the Minnesota Wild and their fans. Unfortunately, we do have to say congratulations, a big Shield shout out on the fantastic careers to the SMSU baseball seniors, including a pair of guys that were on the team when I was still with the team, and that was back in 2016. That was my last year. These guys are still in the thick of their careers.
Oh, sure.
Jared Cheddar and Sean Williams. Y'all are some good dudes, and appreciate the good memories that you probably had, in uniform with the Mustangs, and also in my time as well. Big Shield shout out to Jared Cheddar and Sean Williams, and hopefully the best of luck to all you guys in the future for the SMSU baseball seniors, whose season did come to an end, unfortunately, due to COVID-19 circumstances. And last couple of days, we've lost some legends in the game of football. Unfortunately, yesterday, we did learn the fact of former Hawaii quarterback and the original BCS Buster, quarterback Colt Brennan, passed away at the age of 37 years old after succumbing to an overdose of drugs, and it looks like fentanyl was the drug of choice. Once at one time, up until Joe Burrow broke the record 2 years ago, Colt Brennan held the single-season touchdown passing record, 58 touchdowns, fourth all-time in college football history with 131 career passing touchdowns. Also passed for 4,000 yards 3 times from 2005 to 2007, including 5,549 yards in 2006. Did try to make it into the NFL with a few teams. Unfortunately, a car accident that did ultimately change things with his well-being, and also never was the same after that. Colt Brennan passes away yesterday at the age of 37. And we did learn just a couple hours ago that former Vikings offensive coordinator and head coach Jerry Burns passed away at the age of 94. Unfortunately for Coach Burns, passing away here today, learning that he did pass away, was also a member of the Vikings Ring of Honor. A couple of happy notes here to finish off, as Major League Baseball pitcher Jordan Zimmerman, a Wisconsin native, pitching currently for the Milwaukee Brewers, decided yesterday that he's had enough. Decided to hang him up after 15 seasons in the major leagues, including 13 with the Washington Nationals, where he made his most prominent parts of his career. Did play for the pitch for the Tigers as well as his native Brewers this season. In fact, he threw the very first no-hitter for the Washington Nationals in their history back in 2014 on the very last day of the season, mind you, as well, finishing with a 95 win to 91 loss record and a 4.06 ERA. Jordan Zimmerman decides to retire during the 2021 season. And finally, the Seattle Kraken a couple weeks ago did make their final payments on a down payment to become an official NHL franchise. Well, today, they signed their very first player into franchise history. Player out of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, Luke Henman is the first official player in Seattle Kraken history. A Shield shout out to the Kraken and for Luke Henman making history here on this Wednesday, May 12th of 2021. That will do it for Shield shout outs this week.
Wow. Well, a lot to take in with Shield shout-outs. I mean, especially learning Jerry Burns passing away. I mean, the guy's a Minnesota legend. If you haven't seen the rant that he put out, it's on YouTube. You should check it out. Maybe we'll post it on our page. We might post it on our page here maybe tomorrow or something. But Papa Callahan is he loves that. Absolutely loves that rant that he had. But Colt Brennan, I remember watching him play at Hawaii and everything like that. I thought he was awesome. Absolutely. I mean, for Hawaii.
It was something to watch, too.
Yeah.
With, his head coach was June Jones, I think it was at the time, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he was a beast in college, and it's unfortunate, too, that he got hurt and couldn't do it, because that was around the time, too, when Hawaii was going undefeated and making it into a BCS bowl game. Dude, that's when I started watching sports again, was around that time, and I just learned how freaking corrupt the BCS is in general in the first place, and still is to this day, even with the college football playoff. That's all subject to, money and dollars and everything. But, dude, the BCS back in the day was something to watch, and those guys in Hawaii, man, they put up some big numbers back in the day. And, yeah, it's unfortunate that, just didn't work out for Colt Brennan as well.
Yeah, and we send our condolences to his family at this time.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's tough, and obviously Jerry Burns, and Burnsy, he's one of a kind. So, but anyway, the Seattle Kraken, though, I'm excited to watch them. I mean, Luke Henman, you're the first Seattle Kraken person. I mean, that'll be etched in history now. So, I mean, he's got to feel pretty good right about now. But great job as always, Voldy with Shield Shoutouts.
Thank you, sir.
But we're not done yet, because we got more things that we got to get to, you zoners. We have these stickers, by the way. We still have plenty of them. There's been a lot of zoners. There's been a lot of zoners that have gotten these. Obviously, the bigger ones are $3, $2 for the smaller ones. You just let us know, and we'll get them to you. They're very cheap. They're very affordable, and you can put them anywhere. Mikey's already put his stickers somewhere as well. I think I got to put my bumper sticker on my car, Voldy, so I got to do that at some point. And look, check out, Voldy's got the short sticker there. He's got it on his Yeti. We love it. And not only that, but check out our shirts. Check out our shirts, $20, $5 shipping. Talk to me, talk to Voldy, talk to Jimbo. We'll get you set up. The shirts are fantastic, 5 out of 5 stars, all that jazz. And then, obviously, thanks to National Fleet Graphics, to Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson for getting us those stickers as well. And then you got to check out W2 Performance. Our guy, Will Rattel's killing it per usual. Launch 1.0 has been so fantastic. And obviously, the Barbell Nerds, they're always having new guests on, new trainers on. So make sure you check that out. $2 for those stickers as well. Very cheap. Will get you set up. Then Jack O'Keefe, Jack's Junkyard, now with apparel. He's got a whole slew of apparel, man. You go check that out. Season 2 is already out, so make sure you're checking out his content. Not only that, breaking into the league with Sam Gabrielli, Ryan Martin, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. They've got new stuff coming out. I mean, the playoffs are happening now, so I'm sure they'll be chatting about some of these up-and-comers, especially Dollar Bill, Kirill, baby. Let's go. So the Wild have just started. I don't think there's any score right now, but we'll keep watching. So there's that as well. But anyway, great job as always, Voldy. Always a pleasure to do this every Wednesday with you. And the zoners, we appreciate you guys. And if you want, apparel and things like that, maybe we have a guest next week. You never know. We come with surprises. So, but anyway, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.